George Floyd was non-responsive for nearly 3 minutes before Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin took his knee off his neck, according to the criminal complaint released on Friday. The complaint filed by county's attorney office also cited a preliminary autopsy report showing that there were no physical findings that support a diagnosis of traumatic asphyxia or strangulation. Let me repeat that. We're speaking on the autopsy of George Floyd, the individual who was murdered recently by Derek Chauvin, a prior peace officer in Minneapolis. The complaint filed by the attorney's office also cited a preliminary autopsy report showing that there were no physical findings that support a diagnosis of traumatic asphyxia or strangulation. I want you all to pay close attention before you all sit up here and, turn a blind eye to some of these individuals that's out here venting, gets upset, mad, angry. I'm not co-signing or condoning it. But they said instead, the report said that it was the combined effort of Floyd being restrained by the police, his underlying health conditions, and any potential intoxicants in his system likely contributed to his death. Floyd was 46 when he died. He had underlying health conditions, including coronary artery disease and hypertensive heart disease, according to the report. He died during an arrest on Monday after Chauvin pinned him down. Footage of the incident shows Floyd was not resisting and telling the officer, "I can't breathe." I want that to marinate for a little bit. Now, this isn't going to just be about what happened already, because we pretty much have an understanding of what happened already with this particular incident. He was murdered, point blank, period. But I want to talk about the residual effects and the aftermath of it all, and how certain people in certain cities are protesting. They're upset, angry, and everything else to go along with it. Now, you can't say, well, you talked about this already, man. Why are you talking about it again? I'm talking about everything that encompasses this particular situation with the civilians protesting. Even after the arrest was made, they're out here in the streets protesting. It's a lot to say about where the protests are going on and what is actually happening during these protests. Now, you have individuals that was on video, Minneapolis, busting out car windows, burning down their own city and everything else. And then, I'm hearing and reading all this info about people acting like this is new. Like, if you haven't been outside or actually experienced something like this before, you really need to turn pages back, put in some drops in Google, Bing, Ask.com, any type of search engine you can access, and go back in time, man. This isn't new. This isn't something that we have just been subjected to, and we just don't know what to do with it. This isn't the case with everything that's going on with the looting, rioting. I can be honest with you. Not everybody that's out here is protesting the death of George Floyd. But what they are doing is contributing to the madness and the monomania to make it seem like the protest and their actions has everything to do with his death. But they're just having fun. Some people really have no sense of direction as to how serious a civilized protest could be for George Floyd, but yet they're more focused on going around breaking windows, looting, running in Target, and all this other stuff that's going on. Throwing rocks at law enforcement vehicles, throwing rocks at the law enforcement and everybody else, like that's going to solve anything. I mean, that's not going to solve anything, nor is it going to get you any closer to justice being served with, having Derek Chauvin finally arrested for third-degree murder. Bond posted at 500,000. 500,000. Damn. I think that's a little low for me. Like, I do believe third-degree murder doesn't fit the crime, because when it comes down to it, it was malicious, 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 vindictive, spiteful, malicious, evil. Everything that was depicted about him with his hand in his pocket, leaning on that man's neck. As a black man, and it doesn't make you kind of shed tears to see, the way he went out. Not only that, people, but just if you've been living long enough and been subjected to a situation remotely that you was against and you didn't understand quite why somebody was treating you that way, but only the ones that grew up in this type of skin would say they have been subjected to this type of, racism or discrimination in their lifetime. Not to that extreme, but at one point in your life, you were subjected. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes down to it, you have him locked up for a $500,000 bond, which in my opinion, again, is very low. And as I put on the thumbnail, all of a sudden, now his wife, Kelly Chauvin, is talking about a divorce. No one really cares about what she's going to do. Don't run now, because if by chance, from what I'm hearing, this man has 3 bodies to his name on the police force. The man has 19 citations. He's not one of those top tier officers. But when you talk about having a body to his record, that means this man don't care about killing. Now, I can't sit up here and say it was unwarranted for what he was doing back then, or what he was a part of, and why he killed those individuals. But what I'm trying to gather, it must not have been that bad if he was still in uniform. If he was still in uniform, y'all, 19 citations, you got 3 bodies to your name, and you still in uniform, obviously somebody said, okay, it was justified. Once again, I repeat, it was justified. You know what I'm saying? If anybody within that organization said that it was justified, then guess what? He's still able to freaking get dressed up and go out here in the community where he has been a part of, shooting the individual, and they believe it was justified, and he continued to serve. But it got to a point where, if you allow somebody to continue to get away with taking people's lives, especially in the line of duty, they might think that I'm protected anyway. That's the look that Chauvin had when he was on top with his knee on his neck. He had that look like he don't have a care in the world, people. He had that look like no one's going to do anything. I'm good. When somebody had a look that he had, and I'm going to be quite honest with you, and you have individuals, bystanders, and I'm not including any other race but my own, because the protest is all about, what happened to George Floyd, who's a black man who was supposedly identified for allegedly a forgery, a non-violent offense. All right. So this is what I'm talking about. If you're not willing to sacrifice your life for a human being you never knew, and that officer had his foot on his neck, at that point in time, if you wasn't willing to run and try to cover George Floyd, if you wasn't willing to go up here and give your life and make the ultimate sacrifice, knowing that potentially Derek Chauvin would have stood up and shot you in your back, even if you thought about taking him, I mean, touching him. If you would have ran over there and covered George Floyd just to make sure Derek Chauvin's knee was off his neck, I'm just going to say probably you could have faced the ultimate sacrifice of death, because the individual who's having a need over a man that's basically on the ground for a nonviolent offense, and you go over there and touch him in any way, shape, or form just to save the man that he was attempting to cause bodily harm to in the worst way, he's definitely going to have justification to draw his weapon and shoot down on you and draw down on you, period. But my point is, if you're going to stand there while this man that you don't know is suffering and calling his mom, are you willing to be the same man to save his life? And that's the gap. That's the gap that we have right now. Are you willing to save a man's life by sacrificing your own? Are you willing to give your life for a brother who is on his face pleading for help to save his life? Are you willing to take that step, or are you just going to think about what you have going on in life right now? I mean, there's something to think about, right? You have to sit up here and be willing to sacrifice your life and understand the consequences that are before you. You have to be willing to make that ultimate sacrifice, people. Not to attack any law enforcement, but to go into a situation knowing the full consequences are there to save another human being. And all you had to do, if you would have went over there and covered George Floyd, at least would have gave him the opportunity before he was unconscious. At least it would have gave him the opportunity to breathe. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. Now, you land on top of him and just say, for instance, you was shot in the back and you was killed. I can't sit up here and prognosticate a scenario, you being shot in the back, what the people would have thought about you. But I guarantee you this, you would have been remembered. Potentially, George Floyd still would have been alive. And the only reason I'm kind of put this in the harshest scenario possible, because my mindset is, with a military background, is that when we go out here and serve, that is decision-making process we have to have, regardless if you like the person or not. You're supposed to be willing and able to sacrifice yourself for your brother or sister in arms. It don't matter what race they are. It's been so-called the label heroes placed upon people who have given their life for another human being. That's a hero status. That's the underlining hero status. You know what I'm saying? Are you willing to be a hero? Because a hero may ultimately mean that you lost your life. No matter what you got going on, when it comes time for you to make a decision on whether you're going to sacrifice your life for another human being, you have to understand and be willing to take full repercussion and consequences and what comes with that. And in this particular situation, all it took to change this whole scenario to a point. Now, I can't predict what he would have did if he would have shot somebody in the back. But I'm saying, if I would have laid over George Floyd just so he can breathe, and in the process, I would have had to remove the knee off his neck by the officer. But my whole concern would be so he can breathe. Now, I'm not saying I would have made it up out of there alive, meaning that the officer had mal intentions for George Floyd with his knee. But for another individual the same color as Floyd to go over there and just cover him, if he would have drew his gun and shot down, then guess what? Potentially one person gave their life for another. It sounds bad, doesn't it? But the point of somebody going over there to try to save a man's life who's being strangled, who's being asphyxiated under the knee with his hands behind his back, and for another human being to go over there and save his life, but may be subjected to injury. That's a mindset that a lot of people can't fathom. You have to really be placed in that mindset. You have to have a background, wherever it may be. And I'm only talking in the mindset of being in the military. I would absolutely, if it came down to it, sacrifice my life in that given time to save one of my brothers and sisters in arms. I'm not going to give you a scenario on here about saving another person's life in this particular scenario because it's a little bit selfish to say that. But I'm just saying, do we really have that mentality to go up here and save another man's life or another person's life and sacrifice our own? I don't think we're at that point right now. I think we were back in the day when there was civil rights going on and we was marching and everything else. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think the mentality of across the board as blacks that we are willing to sacrifice our own lives to save a life of someone that may be in harm's way. That's a tough decision you have to make, people. That's a tough decision you have to make. What's going on, Sir Ken? Salute, man. Thanks for dropping in. He said, ever since Black History Month, there's been incident after incident. People, we need to come and stay together in these troubling times. Well, we've been need to stay together there, Sir Ken. And thanks for the input. I'm not devaluing or reducing any merit that it has. You know what I'm saying? You're right. We do need to stay together during these troubling times, but it's been troubling times for a long time now. It's been troubling times. It's been troubling times. And I really don't have too much, encouragement to talk about Black History Month. The reason why I don't have that much encouragement because it's not too much that is done in Black History Month. They're basically trying to flood that or bleed that out of the school systems and the curriculum anyway. The content for which when I was coming up was much more than what it is now. You're talking about individuals who have advocated for prayer to be released from the school. You know what I'm saying? We have advocated for prayer to no longer be a part of the school system. It is wrong for a group of kids who feel that praying, and they may have seen their parents pray, they may have prayed at the dinner table or whenever in church, whatever the case may be, in rough times, good times. Now this is taken away, and they may be praying with a friend, a good friend of theirs, and someone come by, an adult, and say, that's not allowed anymore. That's not allowed. Don't pray in these schools, else I'm going to take you to the principal's office. You can't take religion out of the school. You cannot take any type of resource for these kids to fall back on for safety. What are they looking forward to? Like the only thing that's been in history is a God, right? Whatever that God is, that's what's been a part of history. And we've been here plenty of times before where you have people that are so cowed to go to church. They go to church, sit in congregation, and they listen, and they're basically, their dedication is unbelievable to attend church and talk about God. But would that same person sacrifice their life for another human being when it came down to a situation with George Floyd? Would you? Because you hear about heroes all the time in the military sacrificing their lives, jumping on a grenade. That's sacrifice. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. You hear Army. You hear special forces. You hear individuals in fire departments burning up in buildings because they was in there trying to put out a fire, which isn't a person. but it's a situation, a very deadly situation, and they get burned up in the fire. They made the ultimate sacrifice. That's what they signed up for, and they know full well what they was getting into once they went in the building. Also, law enforcement. You have individuals who have lost their lives in the line of duty. Okay, you understand what I'm getting at, right? So therefore, when it comes to blacks in general, and you want change and everything else, and I'm not saying this has to happen. I'm not telling anybody they have to go out here and rush and save another person's life. But I'm just saying, in general, in George Floyd case, a man who was crying for his mother, and I'm not gonna lie, you know, I did have some tears for George Floyd and all the other people before him, coming from a southern state, been all around the world and experienced different cultures on how they treat black people. You know what I'm saying? And some don't treat us as bad as our own countrymen does when we at home. Some foreign countries would treat black people better than what we have here in the US. That's facts. That's big facts. Parentheses, underscore. That's big facts, y'all. But I can tell you this without a shadow of a doubt. You can't go around pointing the finger at all white people. That's not gonna fly. You cannot sit up here and say all white people have that one niche in their heart and they out to get a black person. That's not true. I had an incident when I was coming over the hill hot. I say I'm coming over the hill at least close to 100 miles per hour. And I got pulled over by a white sheriff. I mean, when I say I came over the hill hot, I came over the hill hot. I didn't see him. There's no way I could have saw him. And before I saw him, it was no need for me to punch the brake. He lit me up, came up there. I say, man, for the street I'm on, I know he's gonna be extra hot because it's not the highway. It's kind of like a residential or whatever leading to an intersection. But I was in a rush. He came up to the window. He said, license registration. He said, where you going so fast, man? I told him where I was going. I told him exactly where I had to be. I said, I'm trying to get here. And when I came over the hill, I know I was speeding, this, that, and the other. He took my information and went back to the car, came back. He said, I understand where you was trying to go, and I respect that. And I understand why it's important for you to get there. But you need to understand what the safety measures here on the road and take other people's life in consideration. Because if you would have hit somebody coming over the hill, it would have been detrimental, right? I said, yes, sir. I said, yes, sir. You know what I'm saying? Even though I was a officer in the military, I said, yeah, I get it. I understand. And he gave me a warning. And I came over the hill hot. Hot means you coming in fast. When they say an airplane is coming in hot, when you have when you radio for close air support or whatever the case may be, and you need support, you need them to bomb a certain target. They coming in hot. They ain't coming in turtle. They coming in hot. I feel for George Floyd and his family, man. I feel for everybody that look for an excuse when it comes down to an incident like this. I remember when Rodney King was beat up, battered, right? And people were saying, well, he should have slowed down. He should have been drinking and driving. What happened in this particular scenario where let's paint the picture. Derek Chauvin's wife is named Kelly. She's now saying she's filing for divorce. Now, Kelly Chauvin, his wife, is Asian, and her brother was the one that was standing up there patrolling the perimeter for whatever reason. A piece of shit, really. Had no leadership skills. You can tell he was just in a uniform for a job. He's the one that said, let this be a lesson, don't do drugs. That's a fuckboy for you. That's a piece of shit right there. What does drugs have to do with a nonviolent arrest for someone allegedly Now, how do we correlate this together? How is potential alleged suspect for forgery is now being said, now being characterized as a drug addict? So let it be a lesson not to do drugs. Even in the autopsy report I just read, what did it say? It had coronary artery disease, hypertensive heart disease. He's 46. That can be anybody. That can be freaking me. That can be me. That can be anybody at 46 years old. But don't sit up here and try to say potential antioxidants likely contributed to his death. And you want to blend that in with the restraint from the police. Now, I look at it like this. If that man would have walked, that man was sitting in his car conscious. That man was sitting in his vehicle conscious. And he was coherent and competent enough to drive off if this situation never would have occurred. But being that the situation did occur, and you're face down with an officer's knee on your neck, how can you sit up here and place into consideration the blunt force of his death is not contributed to asphyxiation, strangulation? How? And I'm gonna tell you, it's called protection. It's called keeping your job, and it's called selling out. It's called having no heart. It's called having no freaking dignity, no honor, no courage. All of that. Somebody stood up there and spoke to that. It's my fault's connection problem. Appreciate that, Ken. Appreciate that. But as I was saying, that individual who Tao is his name. Tao was basically the one that's standing up there talking to the guy who kept pleading and saying, you know what, you're gonna keep your knee on his neck, you're gonna keep his knee on his neck. What's going on? What's going on? He kept on pleading with him. And Tao, not being a leader himself, a piece of shit, a sorry ass bag, he's sitting up there talking about Don't do drugs. Let this be a lesson. Don't do drugs. And if you think for 1 minute that Asians aren't prejudiced, you sadly mistaken. Asians are prejudiced too against blacks. Period. I've seen it. I witnessed it. All that shit. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's been accounted for. So his wife being Asian, and then her brother being on the force, for him to take the situation with George Floyd being accused of a nonviolent forgery, to him now his character is being fragmented from an idiot saying, "Let there be a lesson. Don't do drugs." What the fuck they got to do with anything? He probably can't fight. He can't defend himself. He was overweight anyway. He probably there with the badge serves him very well. I can't imagine how many times he's pulled that badge off duty. I can't imagine how many times that's been his strength in life. This dude does not have any type of inner strength within himself to be a man and step up. He probably lived behind in the shadows of freaking Chauvin. He probably picked up some bad habits. And you know what? Him standing up there while that man was face down, being strangled, he didn't care, y'all, because that's his brother-in-law. He didn't want to offend his brother-in-law. Now it all makes sense why this coward ass bitch was sitting up there, not even showing any type of consideration for human life. When the brother was sitting up there saying, "Hey man, you just gonna let this happen, Tao? Come on, Tao, go over there and do something about it, man. You just gonna let that man?" No wonder he didn't do anything, because he knows what type of person Chauvin was. He knows how he felt against about blacks. For him to dare go against the grain in a police department, and not only that, to go against the authority that was being administered in the worst way with his brother-in-law, he didn't have the courage. He was a fucking coward. He couldn't step up and make that command decision. There's no way Tao could have made that damn decision to save a life. Now she want to get on here and talk about she's filing for divorce. Who gives a fuck what you doing? You have been around this man forever and a day, and you know how he talks about blacks. You know that. That shit didn't happen yesterday, the day before, that killing. You just didn't find out he had a problem with blacks today. You've been living in that. It's a lot of, look, it's a lot of, like say for instance in the military, it's a lot of, a good collective group of Asians who will marry white officers because they feel like that is the better direction or path they need to take to marry somebody with some level of authority. And plus, it looks good being married to an officer to their family. It feels like they're successful in life. That happens. You know what I'm saying? As you ask a lot of military, just say for instance, you was enlisted at the time and you're in a foreign country, you will have some of them tell you that nah, you're not high rank for me to talk to. It's basically saying on the streets, you don't have enough money for me. You don't have enough going for yourself. They will tell you, what rank are you? Oh, nah, you're too low rank. I need somebody that's in the commission. I need somebody that's in the warrant office. I need somebody that's senior enlisted. I need somebody at the top of the food chain for me because I need benefits. I need benefits. I need the clout. I need when I drive around, I need to make sure I'm gonna get a nice car. I'm gonna be in certain base housing, all that. Tao, he's never been in a situation where he potentially had to save a life because he's a follower. Tao was always beneath the umbrella of his sister being married to Chauvin, and he probably scared of Chauvin. The man has 3 bodies to his name, so therefore, Tao, he probably don't have no bodies to his name. He probably couldn't run 150 feet without goddamn searching for a ventilator. But he just sat up there and watched that man cry out for his mom. He watched that man groan, groan, say he can't breathe. His nose started bleeding. The brother's telling him, look, his nose is bleeding. And then when his body really started to shut down, he ended up urinating on himself. That situation is so fucked up all the way around. If someone, listen to everything that's been going on in the news, seeing all the rioting and everything, if they don't shed a tear, if they don't feel deep down in their heart of what's going on in life in general and know how it's fucked up, then it's going to be another situation that reminds them. It may not be tomorrow, but it may be when they're much older and mature and they look at it like, damn, now we can see. I remember when this George Floyd situation happened. To some of these millennials, this is the first time that they're actually witnessing a situation that deals with unrest. Real talk, people. Some of these millennials that stay on their phone and computer and game all the time, that situation was probably the first time they actually saw unrest. They probably asking their parents like, Mom, Dad, what's going on? Why are they doing that? Why are they setting the buildings on fire? Why are they throwing at they gonna get in trouble throwing at the police car? They don't have a clue. They don't understand why these people are out here doing what they're doing. But what I don't understand is that other cities that have no connection to the cities that is rioting, no connection to Minneapolis, right? None whatsoever. They're taking to the streets and calling the protest, but yet they're looting. And I know a sister got on here and she spoke about, basically Target being looting, and it's not a concern because Target really haven't showed themselves to be in the community and show their face as long as they've been in business. And also AutoZone has never showed their face. But I gotta say this though, it doesn't give them the right to go over there and just start destroying people's property just because they haven't been in the community for a situation that caused civil unrest. That's some shit. Like you trying to tell me just because Sears, JCPenney's, Costco's, Kmart, Macy's, AutoZone, Advance Auto Parts, Food Depot, Kroger, Publix. If it comes down to it, just because these people never stepped up and sent a representative out there with a Publix shirt on, say, hey, we out here. We don't agree with this. We just let it be known. You actually think if people are upset, they're not going to go burn down a Publix and loot the place first, get all the food they possibly can, and then freaking burn the place down? I didn't quite understand that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, what does that have to do with George Floyd, AutoZone not showing their face in public, Target not showing their face for these particular incidents? Like, these incidents do happen globally, but not to this magnitude where it's all over the news, people. Ken said military guys are known to be sugar daddies or life security in other countries for years. It's not love, just life security. What I was taught. Man, you ain't never lied, bro. I don't use sugar daddies because I think, sugar daddies to a point is a much more broader, stance on what I would take in a situation. But seeing Kelly Chauvin married to this officer, she probably felt some type of way. She had to feel some type of way about blacks. To get with somebody and say you don't know that they have a type of prejudice or discriminatory bone in their body, it's bullshit. It's bullshit, y'all. If you're marrying outside your race, you're probably saying, a lot of ignorant ass people get on here and say, well, he can't be totally prejudiced because he married a guy named Asian. Come on now. Don't you know you have Asians that will sit up here and have problems with blacks they never met, but they have had family members that had situations with blacks, and they may feel some type of way. They may feel some type of way about personal experience or business or a situation they encountered, period. So what they do, to make it right? What they do to think, they need an outlet to be on a hierarchy, an affluency. She goes out here and gets with Derek Chauvin. You trying to tell me she never heard him say some shit? She never heard him talk some bullshit in life, some racist shit. She never heard him say some derogatory shit about another race or what's happening on his force or him killing those individuals, all the citations he got. He got 19 citations to his name. You trying to tell me he ain't never talked to his wife? And I'm saying, don't you fucking run now. No, stay your ass in the motherfucking slot, goddammit. Buckle up for the ride. When they goddamn ask you to get in front of the mic, no, don't use that pageant shit. Don't act like you in a pageant. First and foremost, I'd like to thank all of you that turned out today in this unfortunate occasion. My name is Kelly Chow. No. Your name is Kelly Chauvin. Get it correct. Support your man. Support him. You was married to him. Don't bail out now and talking about I'm seeking dissolution of marriage due to irreconcilable circumstances. She's basically saying she can't handle the heat, and she's gonna become an outcast to her own family because Asians don't play that stuff that just went on right there. Like they'll bail out, and like Sir Ken just said, life security. She had life security, y'all. She was with an officer. She was law enforcement. I'm going to tell you another thing to add to that life security. They love sitting up here saying who they married to. They are some of the biggest assholes when it comes down to some of these females that are married into the game. And they see you at a store or they're doing something that's considered not how you put it, they're not holding their part of being courteous. They will be quick to say, excuse me, who are you again? And see, in the Marine Corps, we wear our last name on our uniform. We are our last name, right? And this not happen. This is with whites too, sometime. You have white women who will come over here and their husband are maybe a captain, even lieutenants, major, senior enlisted. And they'll come over here and say some shit like, what is your name? Let me see your ID card. And then they look at your last name, say, I'm not going to ask you again. And if they've been married long enough, they know the rank structure. They will hurry up and try to get on the phone and say, oh, just wait till I tell my husband. You'll never get promoted again. He's going to call your command. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. I can imagine what some of those military personnel are going through with the use of mobile phones and everything else that goes on. Just say, for instance, you having a conversation about George Floyd. You have the First Amendment of freedom of speech, right? Press. You know what I'm saying? You have all that. But in the military, not so much. In law enforcement, not so much. Firefighter, not so much. You have a certain degree of freedom of speech. But then again, you have to moderate when you're basically trying to defend a very sensitive situation, people. You have to moderate. You have to be intelligent. You have to be smart. You have to really understand what the articulated process should be before you open your mouth and say what your true feelings are, because people will hold you. People will hold you accountable. They will blackball your ass. And that's what they would do. They would sit up here. Kelly probably one of those chicks to say, my husband's a law enforcement officer. Don't worry. I'm going to make some phone calls. You think that shit don't happen? It absolutely happened, people. I've had people sit up there, and you be in civilian. This is what I like, being in civilian clothes, and you get somebody, the parking lot is always a problem. The parking lot is always a problem. Some of these parking lots, have special rank designated. And you get out your car in civilian clothes, you might have a baseball cap or whatever, looking a certain way. And you might get this individual come out of the booth, excuse me, that's for so-and-so. Okay. All right. Well, you need to move your car. They don't even know what you have on. They don't know who you are or anything. They just see you as being inferior to what the rank designates on the parking spot. I feel for George Floyd, man. I just wish somebody would have sit up there and covered that man. But I also have to say this, I think they would have lost their life. I think they would have lost their life, hands down. If a man is up there with his foot on his neck, he's willing to pull the trigger. With a man up there, and I spoke to my son today, man, I gave him a hug, when I got back. And me and him was having a deep conversation about this situation. I said, that's why I just try to explain to you so you can at least be prepared. You got to explain to these young black men what nigga mean. You have to explain to them. Don't allow your kids to grow up and don't know what nigger mean. They need to understand the ER. They need to understand what the A. Seriously, black people, we do use, we call each other this, that, and the other. We say nigga this, nigga that. We do. We're guilty of that. We talk, we converse like that, but we don't call each other nigger. And if your kids don't know what nigger sound like, a monkey sound like, a chimp sound like, and if it's malicious, then that's your fault. Because your kid out here acting all goofy, and you got people laughing at his ass after they call him Caesar. They're laughing, Caesar. Okay, you don't know what the fuck. Hey, mom, it was some people making fun of me today. They, it's calling me Caesar. Who? Your parents gonna be like, who? Who was calling you that? Oh, it was so and so, this, that, and the other. Why? Oh, they was making fun of me. And you know what Caesar is? And then they go to explain, and the kid feel real bad. Now they're going to be overly anxious to get back and get retribution. And so you got to be smart about it. You got to get educated. I don't know if you all seen, but T.I. and Killer Mike, two cats I truly respect down here in the A. And it's funny, right? Because it's a lot of rappers came up through the game, but T.I., I got mad respect for that cat, man. He haven't really changed up since he's been down here coming up in the game. He hasn't. He's been in the community. He's been around, bro. I got mad respect. I got mad respect for Killer Mike. Very smart, both of them. Killer Mike more so, he could be a politician, Killer Mike. You know what I'm saying? The way he expressed himself about changes that should be made. And he hold black people accountable. He hold black people accountable in words that empower them. You know what I'm saying? Not words of freaking go out here and destroy everything in your vision. He encouraged them to educate themselves, become more intelligent as to what your surroundings are and what you're dealing with when it comes to racism, when it comes to how you should be acting, how you should be reading. Killer Mike is a very thorough dude when it comes to that. And I don't know if y'all saw his speech. He said, I'm angry. I don't want to be here. But he still spoke anyway. And it was a very deep message. And the reason why they were speaking, because they went over there and started messing up the CNN center. And every freaking regional stronghold has a history behind it. And those people that's down here in ATL know about Ted Turner. Ted Turner was a big deal. Like Ted Turner Ted Turner was a big deal. He's much older now, but he's a big deal. But the reason why they went down there is because it's news orientated, and CNN be putting out some stuff sometime that people don't like. But thank God, it didn't get as bad down here. Also, we had another protest. Like I said, this ain't new. We had another protest down here when the other, I don't know if it was Eric Garner, but when another um black man had passed, and they protested, did a human chain, and they was headed to the highway. I think they even cut off the highway. They went out to the highway. They went out to the main highway and shut that shit down before law enforcement came up there and able to talk them out. They went out to the highway and shut the shit down. They shut they shut downtown. They shut it down, the protests, and then they marched all the way out to the highway and shut that down. So this protesting is not new. The rebelling, the looting isn't new. But like I put up there, it's this guy who allegedly that's out here in the news called Jacob Peterson. You see a guy who's breaking out windows at an AutoZone, and I have to put the allegedly, since I'm media, allegedly is him with an umbrella over his head, and he's breaking out windows, and then people telling him, like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, why are you going here breaking out? He tried to turn around and walk behind, with his dumpster at, and walk in the parking lot like he was going to get in his car and go away. And then come to find out, from what I'm reading, and it's public record, is that, his ex-wife is saying that is him, who is an active law enforcement officer. He's an active law enforcement officer, and he's up here inciting people to riot. He had on a full black jumpsuit with a gas mask on, with an umbrella over his head. Why? Because you have aerial surveillance, and those surveillance from the airman is unbelievable. They can zoom in on your face, a pimple on your face, and recognize who you are. So for him, even his eyes being uncovered, somebody can look at him and say, "Oh shit, that's so and so." But there was this one black guy who followed him and say, "Bruh, you a cop? You come over here breaking windows for us to, riot and loot, but you trying to exit the parking lot and go get in your car? And you have an umbrella over your head and it's not raining out here?" But y'all need to understand, I know a lot of people are trying to say, well, it's certain individuals that are moles, and I'm going out here inciting and provoking. They're blending in because we're wearing masks for COVID-19, right? So it's easy to come out here with mask on, since we have more access to masks, and go out here and incite the violence and the ruckus and the chaos for malicious reason. You have people out here that's blending in with the rioters and freaking provoking shit, and really they may have ulterior motives. They're talking about a lot of white supremacist groups are out here blended in with these crowds to burn down their own city, especially if we're talking about being in the hood or something like that. That goes without saying. It's always going to be deception. People need to understand that. Just because you find one alleged law enforcement or one person that's supposed to be with the KKK or any type of white supremacist group, that doesn't mean 98% of it is that. Let's get that straight. It's blended individuals, a collective group of individuals out here that's out for the movement, for the moment, the situation. And then there's individuals out here for the protest of the death of George Floyd. Those individuals that really care about the way he was killed, the way he was murdered, and they're seeking justice. Those individuals are the real ones, not the fake ones who are blending in with the chaos. They're swimming in the current, but they're close to the shore, so they can hurry up and abandon the mission if they need to, and run it into the goddamn woods in between buildings and get away after they undid their fucking dirt. A lot of these people don't have good intentions to sit up here and encourage justice to be served correctly and for the message to be sent in the right way. They just sitting out here breaking shit. They burning down stores, man. They're getting new clothes. They're gonna put it online and sell. They're gonna make a little extra bucks. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna have some freaking stories to tell their friends and shit. Be careful about them snitches. Whenever you got shit that's going on like this in your city and you up here being a part of something, be careful about them snitches in your group. Because that's next. You're supposed to be protesting George Floyd. But now you up here wondering if anybody gonna come knocking on your door because you was out there looting and destroying property. And they're not gonna lock all of them. They're not gonna lock you up. They're gonna bring you to court and fine you. They're gonna fine you, and then you're gonna have that fine that's gonna be lingering over your head. They don't have enough room right now to lock up looters and shit. They don't have enough room. But they will fine you. They will make you pay the city for the damage if they find out who they are. Period, man. Come on. And then I don't know if you've seen, you have some of these businesses that was black owned that's absolutely being burned down. They show the picture of this firefighter who put all his life savings into his place. He had a nightclub, I believe, and they burned that shit to the ground. Now, if he was really a staple in the community and they knew who owned that, they wouldn't have touched it. Really. And just by chance, I've seen people defend their territory. You know what I'm saying? When it comes down, they know they about to riot and it might get rough. There's protests going on down there. People go to their business with freaking firearms and they protect their shit like, no. Don't do it. You have the wrong business. Don't sit up here and think you're gonna burn down the whole motherfucking lot. I work hard. I put my life savings in this place. And that man was crying because his whole life savings was burned up. But I'm thinking, I don't quite get it. Like, I guess I'm just overthinking what they should have. Like, they should have insurance for fire damage, whatever. When people say they put their whole life savings in there, I think they're really focusing on they're not going to be able to recoup everything that they invested into that building. They may not have been keeping records correctly. They may not have had insurance. Either way it goes, it's absolutely fucked up, people. Now, this is what I want to talk about dealing with combat sports, y'all, and dealing with this situation. And I would sit up here and go through the cliche of saying, you know what, I want to really watch what I say on this. But then I get, you get kind of exhausted with motherfuckers that's thinking that just because they have papers, they sit up here and have criticism for you because they really don't know shit about you. You might look a certain way, or they might think military motherfuckers really don't matter. I don't care. I don't know, but I'm from the heart of ATL, born and raised. I was a minute away. I lived a minute away in a neighborhood that was right next to Little Vietnam. Facts. Little Vietnam was one of the most terrible freaking projects you can be close to or live in. I had classmates that go over there. I used to frequent over there, walk through a big ass field. The only way, you ask anybody, the only way you getting on the premises of East Lake Meadows or Little Vietnam is that you know somebody there and they know you. Seeing cats get their heads split open, knocked in. And some other things I really can't even talk about. But what I'm trying to tell you is certain individuals are always talking about black, right? And I'm saying it comes upon a time, if you pro-black, that means you against everything outside of that, right? So those individuals like myself that isn't. These individuals attack. They attack you and they might say, oh man, that motherfucker lame. He a square man. He ain't shit. But I'm supposed to walk around this motherfucker talking like I'm uneducated and stupid and not calling you out for your bullshit. Now, basically what I'm trying to get at, you got motherfuckers up here talking about why black fighters haven't really been talking about this. What the fuck does black fighters have to do with this shit? Anybody of any race can talk about this shit, but just because you cover boxing, why are you going to sit up here and wrangle together black fighters like that is something that they need to put on their schedule and make a priority to come in here and talk about George Floyd? They probably are talking about it behind closed doors, but I just don't like when motherfuckers come up here and try to mandate individuals, a certain group of individuals. You're not saying white fighters. You're not saying Mexican fighters. I don't know, man. I don't know why black fighters ain't coming here talking about this, man. It should be flooding YouTube by now. What the fuck that has to do with anything, though? Why are you just sitting up here directing shit for black fighters? Why not you saying football players? Where's all the black basketball players, the black baseball players, the black cricket players? Cricket players, if you find them, black poker players. What does black fighters have to do with this particular situation? Black as a whole has felt, is heartfelt in this particular situation. What does a sport has to do with it? It's difficult to have conversations with individuals like that because they're going to be quick to try to tell you that you're not who you are. And you was born black and you basically experienced the same thing in multiple occasions black. But time you speak about something when you're not basically correlating every ounce of liability to someone opposite of your race with hate and disdainment, they call you, oh, you ain't real. You'll sell out. You're a coon. You're Uncle Tom. Nigga, you ain't shit, man. You ain't about that shit. You ain't gonna speak up. Motherfuckers speak up. But just because you're not speaking the same cadence, then they got a problem with the bullshit. What the fuck does black fighters have to do with this George Floyd situation? These cats got more things to think about getting back on track after COVID-19 and everything else. You might well say, why are we don't hear more black military men speaking about it? Why we don't have more black soccer players speaking up about it? You can't just sit up here and encompass black fighters just because you cover the sport of boxing. Let's be more smart, man. Be intelligent. Stop going around here specifically reporting on black fighters and then criticize the ones who report on boxing. You know what I'm saying? You're reporting on specific collective group of fighters, ethnicities, race. But yet, if you can't sit up here and get World Combat Sports, for instance, to join in on the situation, because I ain't never been a pack motherfucker. Never in my life. I ain't never been a group motherfucker just roll around in the group and look left or right, head on the swivel, laughing and joking around and letting motherfuckers lead me into the motherfucking a brick. But you have some people that has. You have some people that's used to just taking orders. You have some people that want to be a part of an organization, but it's not no leaders in that organization. And they I watched all of that, man. Can't appreciate that, man. Those of you that's in the building, hey, be sure to press the thumbs up button. You know what I'm saying? This is not going to be a regular thing for me. Of course, you know what I'm saying? I definitely rock heavy with boxing and MMA news, period. And, those of you that's tuned in, share the content and everything. And I definitely like to hear your feedback. I appreciate Ken dropping in, man, dropping his feedback. And I had some trolls in here. Of course, I'm not going to show you no love because you're off topic as to what I'm trying to engage the audience with. You're off topic. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to provide you that shine or that temperature you're looking for because you want to sit behind the screen and the keyboard and molest the home keys and feel good about jacking off. You know what I'm saying? When you press enter. That's not me. I'm not going to engage you. And half of the time, if I drop the link in there, I would say, cool, let me see your face. Come on here and talk about the situation. We're adults. Come talk about the situation. If you have something to say about the topic or the description, cool. By all means, say that. You know what I'm saying? Like, let it be known what you have to say if it's productive to the topic. I don't know if y'all know, right? But I spelled Derek Chauvin's name with a C in it. I don't know if y'all caught that, but that C is for freaking coward. Has nothing to do with who he worked for. It has something to do with him as an individual. It has something to do with him as an individual. He was a coward. This motherfucker was a coward. He was a coward, man. They had that man arrested in third-degree murder, which could be considered manslaughter, whatever they're trying to do. And then also they gave him $500,000 bond, which he probably have some people. He potentially may have some people that'll look after him, and he'll be out on bond. And then we have to wait. We have to wait dealing with COVID-19 to see when his court case is going to be, and then take it from there, people. You feel me? I mean, that's what we're going to have to wait for. We're going to have to wait for Ahmaud Arbery. We will have to wait for George Floyd. Those are some big cases that's really going to change up. It's unfortunately, change is always our surface and become relevant through death or tragedy. You know what I'm saying? Or adversity. That's when change, and this is the most severe tragedy you will see when it's in front of the camera and a person is killed in a way that is torture. Like him being so uncomfortable with a knee on his neck and going through a process of strangulation and having his oxygen depleted and restricted and seeing, and feeling his body shutting down and him yelling out to his mom is not even alive, y'all. George Floyd was yelling out to his mom who's not even alive, man. The man was calling out to his mom who is already passed. The man was reaching out to who he loved. The man said they're going to kill me. Floyd said they're going to kill me. He said they're going to kill me. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. And then you have this other chief from a different region. He comes on here and says, if you're saying you can't breathe, that means you can breathe. Well, obviously, you need to understand that the brain needs a certain amount of oxygen to function, right? To remain healthy, to be competent enough to understand what's going on. So when that's being restricted and when you're stressed, you can potentially speak out with remaining breath and oxygen in your body to say, I can't breathe. And then when that starts to go away, and then you see that coward rolling his knee on the man's neck, trying to make sure he gets a non-responsive individual. I'm not over exaggerating this, people, but when you get a non-responsive individual, sometimes it appeases people with a dark heart, like Derek Chauvin. It appeases them, it calms them inside because now he's taken another life. He feels great. He feels great. He's taken another life. This motherfucker took another life. If you listen to any one of my lives, I don't ever sit up here and hope bad against somebody that's freaking evil as shit, because I feel what's coming is going to come in. It's going to be inbound. It's going to be just as severe. It's going to have enough heat to it and temperature and the weight of it. It's going to be crushing. There's no need for me to sit up here. I hope he get this. I hope his kids this. I hope it's that. I'm just not that person. But internally, I'm really looking forward to him being punished accordingly. You know, he get the repercussions they deserve for sitting up here killing the man the way he did. And I'm pretty sure he'll get in prison if he even gets convicted. He'll get in there and he'll get with the white supremacists and be in that side. And they would show him love for taking a freaking life of a black man on the outside, and they would give him that respect and everything else that goes along with it. It happens, y'all. It happens. But I'm just telling my listeners, it don't matter how many's in here. You know what I'm saying? I'm just telling my listeners, don't sit around here and think that you just have to tune in, you know, because I'm considered black media, you know, just because I'm black, but I'm boxing and MMA media. I never deter from who I am because I already know. You know, you're 50 years old. I don't need anybody to tell me what I look like in the mirror. I've been looking at that shit. I understand full identity. And like I said before, it's no way, shape, or form that I even question what God blessed me with. I won't want to be anything else but who I am. But you don't have to support me just because I'm black and you black. I want more than that. I want you to understand, you know, what the content you talk to. I want you to be able to engage and have an intellectual dialogue, and we educate. We have a dialogue. We speak to one another. And we able to be productive and informative. Not nigga this, fuck you, nigga. You ain't shit, nigga. You ain't never been shit. Man, come on, bro. I hear too many of that going on with media that's across the motherfucking board. It has a lot of black entities. And they might say, man, fuck that nigga. That nigga be talking some bullshit, goofy. Nigga, please. Don't sit up here and call nobody goofy. And you're the biggest goofball of them all with big clown shoes on. Motherfuckers are stuck in shit. They'll sit up here and have 4 grown ass men on their damn media site. And you ask them shit about George Floyd. And you might have one motherfucker to say some shit. But most of the stuff is directed towards the entire freaking white race. You just absolutely cannot sit up here and think that is what it should be. Unless you just straight up prejudiced and racist. You can't sit up here and promote that shit. And then, you know, just because you got some other big mouth motherfuckers on your channel that once again ain't willing to step up and have their own sense of opinion, then guess what? It is what it is, man. You know what I'm saying? Stupid is, stupid does, motherfucker. Y'all want to be smart individuals, but yet y'all just don't know how to damn observe and assess and articulate yourself on a situation without being extremely ex parte. You want to leave extremely to the left just to appease the audience so you can get some donations and shit. So you're willing to be biased, but yet when you're in person and you just talk bad about a whole race, right? You want to be friends with them. You want to sit up here and be friends. Don't ever respect me for doing that shit. Don't ever respect me for doing that. Because you ain't gonna find nothing, no time where I did that shit at. You ain't gonna find me on here with no goddamn group of people. And I'm sitting up here co-signing straight up clown stupidity, immature cats, grown ass mother. Only thing they gotta say, man, you dumb ass nigga. Man, you ain't shit, nigga. You ain't this, man. Fuck that, the hoe ass nigga. Man, how many times we gonna say hoe ass, hoe ass? Nigga, the question is, what you think about George Floyd? What are you gonna do? What change can you possibly make and use your platform to talk about this cat? Not sit up here and say, why isn't it black fighters out here so you can get your black audience to chime in and say fucked up shit about your own people? That's some dumbass shit. Like, you really not even thinking about how stupid it make us look, especially over here in the social layer of media. Will you continue to sit up here and say you support black fighters, but you're dogging out black media? You support black fighters, but yet in a time like this, when it's all about George Floyd and his family, you want to say, well, guess what, people? Boxers, mixed martial artists, don't hold that shit. Don't sit up here and accept that bullshit, man. Stop supporting these motherfuckers that's sitting up here and they change the agenda up on y'all ass every single time, and y'all still show these motherfuckers love because you think they support black. I mean, you think they motherfuckers support black? Yeah, they support black, but they're inconsistent. One minute you all happy about them supporting black fighters, but yet when George Floyd come up here, they come in here asking y'all why y'all ain't on the mic when y'all supposed to be focusing on getting ready and for a fight. They up here criticizing black media. They ain't doing shit. They the best at what they do and all this other shit. And then now you want to get on here and talk about why we don't have black fighters up here speaking out. What in the fuck do George Floyd situation, once again, for the umpteenth time, have to do with black fighters jumping on the mic? I mean, are y'all listening to what the fuck you saying? Like, I hold adults accountable to be age appropriate immaturity, man. Real talk. I just hold you all accountable. Y'all are smart enough to understand what a dialogue is. That's all I'm saying. When you hear motherfuckers talking about that's all they do is support the black, and black fighters should support them because they support black fighting. Boxing has more than just black fighters. A real motherfucker tell you that they don't need permission from you to support who the fuck they want to support. If you want to get on here and be extremely biased and give black fighters all the credit in the world, and that's all you support, and when George Floyd come up here, you want to sit up here and once again say, oh, Derek Chauvin, the whole department knew about that shit, and you spreading falsicities to the media. You're riling up your audience who feel the same way you do for donations and live chats and shit. You spreading hate yourself, bro. Real talk. You spreading hate yourself. You know who the fuck you are too. And you probably look, these same motherfuckers that never met you in person, they met you in person, and you want to sit up there and you doing what you do in media, and they want to come up there, man, I don't think it's a good idea for you to be doing that right here, man. They gonna tell you to leave, man. You hating ass motherfucker, boy. You ain't no good. I would rather have 10 people looking at my shit that can engage in solid content, and I know it's very, informative, rather than have somebody keep on talking about I can't go outside without looking at somebody that ain't black. Oh, they piss me off. They this. And that's not everybody. That's not everyday life. And you talking about somebody from the South, Nick. I don't have to goddamn come over here and tell you where I'm from. I come from the South where, in the South, families don't really appreciate cats going into the military. I can account for how many relatives that absolutely disappointing. That they want to turn and goddamn squint their eyes and raise their eyebrows and shit and talk behind your back just because you went to the military. But yet they want to goddamn sit up here and praise how black they are if they're in the South, how their kids going to college and shit. But then the first thing they say is Scotty went in there and worked for the white man. These motherfuckers are working in an environment where their boss might be the same. They might be working for a white person themselves, but for the military, they put it on a whole nother level, saying that I went in there and I was a robot. You got, look, I got relatives that's like that. I got relatives that will sit up there and talk about this George Floyd situation and blame every other white person that's breathing for what he did because they ain't never left the South. They ain't never educated themselves or nothing. They're probably the same motherfuckers that jump on here with a fake ass ghost account like a little kid and put derogatory content up just to troll a channel. But when they see me in person, they won't even show their face because they're not even educated about they've been in the South so long, they're not even educated to have a different viewpoint about what's going on with this situation, why people rioting, what change need to be made, and all that other. What's going on, Sharif Ali, man? Salute to you. He said, you know where the individuals stand when dominoes begin to fall, bro. Yeah, man. Appreciate you for stopping through, Sharif, man. If you have any input about George Floyd, this is, the situation that I mentioned, now his Asian wife, Kelly Chauvin, is trying to abort the mission of the marriage. She feels it's time for her to go and leave him behind because guess what? They coming for her neck too. She don't want no part of that shit. It's time for Kelly to go back to her roots. They not only look, they ain't just coming from Kelly. They coming for her brother too. She's trying to abort the mission. I wonder, did she ask her brother, why you didn't do something? Why you just sit up there? You saw Derek up there with his knee on his neck. Man, why are you they're threatening our lives, man? Why you just didn't do anything? Because he ain't that person. He ain't a leader. He's an individual that's there for a paycheck, people. You have to understand, everybody isn't meant to be a leader. And even though they hold a position as one, doesn't mean they know where to go. They don't have no sense of direction. A lot of motherfuckers that they claim they're a leader, they want to get a lot of other dumb motherfuckers to follow them because it's easy to influence them. So they ain't teaching them shit. They're just getting enough people who are stupid enough to be around them, and they can tell them some dumb shit, take advantage of them, lead them in a circle. Once again, lead their ass in a circle and act like they're actually making progress forward. But the only thing they're doing is just recycling, circling back, and making their name, trying to get their name up here, trying to make people believe that they're bigger than who they say they are. And then you might have individuals internal to the circle say, hey, we did this before. We're not moving. We're not going anywhere. We're supposed to be progressing, advancing. What's going on? I don't see it. Just hang tight. Be patient, man. It's a building process. We got to lay the foundation first. But you need to be on the team, man. If you ain't on the team, man, come on. You got to be full pledged. You got to be on the team. I need team players. But make no mistake about it. I'm the commander. I'm the general. Y'all are the troops. When you got some goofy, as they love using, right? They love using. You got goofy motherfuckers with you that you can goddamn dangle around on a string and get them to dance for you whenever you feel like it. And you fine with that, and your audience don't see that's what's going on, then hey, y'all keep on doing what you do, man. Keep doing what you're doing. Because we do live in an era where you have a lot of individuals that will follow people who has one agenda. You know what I'm saying? They just have one agenda and they like the rhythm of their agenda, so they continue to support them. Not somebody who has multiple, you know what I'm saying, directions. They want to be flexible and open-minded. You know what I'm saying? They want to continue to build different layers to the growth process, so they won't be considered someone who's just one dimensional. Saying on here, you're a fuck ass nigga, you're a bitch ass nigga, hoe ass nigga. That's one dimensional shit. We've heard that already. Switch it up. The cacology is getting tedious. The scatology is being heard over and over again, and we're used to bitch, hoe, fuck boy, all that shit. We're used to that. But like I said before, don't get up here and act like you goddamn supporting black when you dogging out other people that's not in your group. Now you dogging out other black fighters for not speaking up about George Floyd when there's other freaking athletic associations that's out there that you can reach out to and connect with. There's so many black athletes. There's so many black politicians, school teachers, preachers, just black leaders in general that you can reach out. But since you have a platform on here, don't hold the black fighters accountable just because they're not on YouTube speaking up about a situation that's all over media. Right now, there's unrest going on in multiple locations. What are they supposed to do? Jump on social media and talk about everybody who they believe is out there? It ain't just blacks out there breaking windows. You see black, white, Mexicans, you see everybody out there throwing rocks to the cars and windows, throwing stones, looting, lighting shit on fire, burning motherfucking dwellings down to the ground. It's not just blacks now. So what the fuck you talking about? The Matrix is a motherfucker. I salute Big Mike interview. Hell yeah. I do, man. You know, matter of fact, since you mentioned it, I'm gonna play. I'm gonna play Killer Mike's interview. I'm absolutely is. I is. I'm gonna play Killer Mike's interview, y'all. You know, T.I. didn't say too much, but still, I got mad respect for Tip, man. I got mad respect for Tip in the A, man. Real talk. I'm gonna goddamn let y'all hear this video right quick, and I hope the connection stays solid. Where is that? Let me see. Let's get this right quick. If any one of y'all, you know, out this ATL, man, shout out to you, Shouty. You know what it is. Thanks for dropping in. Hit that thumbs up button for me and continue to support and pass the word. I appreciate it. Definitely. Come on, man. Okay, here we go. Here we is. Here we is. So let me share this screen with you so we can check out this. And you know, All right, let me go bring this back up. And we in. Let me shut this down right here. And we in the building, y'all. Here go Killer Mike speaking. Down here in the A.
You don't get treated right in New York, when you don't get treated right in LA, when you can't get treated right in Detroit, when you don't get treated right in St. Louis, when you don't get treated right in Alabama. Atlanta has been here for us. This city don't deserve it. However, I understand that a lot of others do. But we can't do this here. This is Wakanda. It's sacred. It must be protected. I didn't want to come. And I don't want to be here. I'm the son of an Atlanta City police officer. My cousin is an Atlanta City police officer. And my other cousin, East Point police officer. And I got a lot of love and respect for police officers, down to the original 8 police officers in Atlanta that even after becoming police had to dress in a YMCA. Because white officers didn't want to get dressed with niggers. And here we are 80 years later. I watched a white officer assassinate a black man. And I know that tore your heart out. And I know it's crippling. And I have nothing positive to say in this moment. Because I don't want to be here. But I'm responsible to be here because it wasn't just Dr. King and people dressed nicely who marched and protested to progress this city and so many other cities. It was people like my grandmother, people like my aunts and uncles who were members of SCLC and NAACP, and in particular, Reverend James Orange, Mrs. Alice Johnson, and Reverend Love, who we just lost last year. So I'm duty bound to be here to simply say that it is your duty not to burn your own house down for anger with an enemy. It is your duty to fortify your own house so that you may be a house of refuge in times of organization.
Talk to him, Killer Mike.
To plot, plan, strategize, organize, and mobilize. It is time to beat up prosecutors you don't like at the voting booth. It is time to hold mayoral officers accountable, chiefs and deputy chiefs. Atlanta is not perfect, but we're a lot better than we ever were, and we're a lot better than cities are. I'm mad as hell. I woke up wanting to see the world burn down yesterday because I'm tired of seeing black.
Y'all don't hear that pain in his voice, do you?
He casually put his knee on a human being's neck for 9 minutes as he died like a zebra in the clutch of a lion's jaw. And we watch it like murder porn over and over again. So that's why children are burning to the ground. They don't know what else to do. And it is the responsibility of us to make this better. Right now, we don't want to see one officer charged. We want to see 4 officers prosecuted and sentenced. We don't want to see targets burning. We want to see the system that sets up for systemic racism burnt to the ground. And as I sit here in Georgia, home of Stevens, Georgia, former vice president of the Confederacy, white man said that fundamental law stated that whites were naturally the superior race, and the Confederacy was built on a cornerstone. It's called a cornerstone speech. Look it up. The cornerstone speech that blacks would always be subordinate. That officer believed that speech because he killed that man like an animal. In this city, officers have done horrendous things and they have been prosecuted. This city's cut different. In this city, you can find over 50 restaurants owned by black women. I didn't say minority, and I didn't say women of color. So after you burn down your own home, what do you have left but char and ash? CNN? Ted did a great thing. I love CNN, I love Cartoon Network, but I'd like to say to CNN right now, karma's a mother. Stop feeding fear and anger every day. Stop making people feel so fearful. Give them hope. I'm glad they only took down a sign and defaced a building and they're not killing human beings like that policeman did. I'm glad that they only destroyed some brick and mortar and they didn't rip a father from a son. They didn't rip a son from a mother like the policeman did. When a man yells for his mother in duress and pain and she's dead, he's essentially yelling, please God, don't let it happen to me. And we watch that. So my question for us on the other side of this camera is, after it burns, will we be left with charred, or will we rise like a phoenix out of the ashes that Atlanta has always done? Will we use this as a moment to say that we will not do what other cities have done, and in fact, we will get better than we've been? We got good enough to destroy cash funds. You don't have to worry about going to jail for something petty. We got smart enough to decriminalize marijuana. How smart are we going to be in the next 15 or 20 years to keep us ahead of this curve? So that much like when South Africa suffered apartheid, you had Andy and other politicians that could make sure that Atlanta said, Coca-Cola, we love you, but if you don't pull out of South Africa, we're going to leave. We're not going to drink Coca-Cola anymore. Coca-Cola jumped on their side and apartheid ended. So we have an opportunity here. Because I'm mad, I don't have any good advice. But what I can tell you is that if you sit in your homes tonight, instead of burning your home to the ground, you will have time to properly plot, plan, strategize, and organize and mobilize in an effective way. And two of the most effective ways is first taking your butt to the computer and making sure you fill out your census so that people know who you are and where you are. The next thing is making sure you exercise your political bully power and going to local elections and beating up the politicians that you don't like. You got a prosecutor sent your partner to jail and you know it was bullshit, put a new prosecutor in there. Now's your election to do it. You want a different senator that's more progressive, that pulls marijuana through, now's the time to do that. But it is not time to burn down your own home. I love and I respect you. I hate I don't have more to say. I hate I can't fix it in a snap. I hate Atlanta's not perfect or as good as we are. But we have to be better than this moment. We have to be better than burning down our own homes. Because if we lose Atlanta, what else we got? We lose an ability to plot, to plan, to strategize, to organize, and to properly mobilize. I want you to go home. I want you to talk to 10 of your friends. I want you guys to come up with real solutions. I would like for the Atlanta City Police Department to bring back the Community Review Board, one that Alice Johnson was formerly under Chief Turner. We need a review board here before an officer does some stupid shit. We need to get ahead of it. That's my recommendation to my mayor and my chief. Let's get a review board. Let's get ahead of it, and let's give them power. We don't need an officer that makes a mistake once, twice, 3 times, and finally he kills a boy on national TV, and the next thing you know, the country is burning down. We don't need a dumbass president repeating what segregation is saying. You start looting, we start shooting. But the problem is some officers black and some people gonna shoot back. And that's not good for our community either. I love and respect you all. I hope that we find a way out of it because I don't have the answers, but I do know we must plot, we must plan, we must strategize, organize, and mobilize. Thank you for allowing me some time to speak. I'd like to appreciate our chief for what she said on YouTube. I thought it was very bold to do. I'd like to appreciate our mayor for talking to us like a black mama and telling us to take our ass home. And I'd like to thank my friend for convincing me to come here. Now I defer to Joe Beasley now because he knows a hell of a lot more than we do. Thank you all.
So that was down here in the A. And I don't need to tell y'all who Killer Mike is. Y'all know who that is. So hopefully, that was somewhat insightful. I'm not saying that, just because he's a black man that was on the mic, everybody's supposed to tune in and agree with what he said. But Killer Mike has been a staple in the community for quite some time. Very thorough brother. And it'd be great if he held some type of seat. But like he said, he has family that's law enforcement. So for him to get up here and speak on the situation that deals with a law enforcement officer taking a life, in which his own words said assassinated. He used the assassination, and that's a very critical word. Like assassination cuts every inch of doubt away that it was accident, that it was manslaughter. An assassination, he characterized Chauvin as doing to Floyd. And I really don't disagree with him at all. For him to do what he did in the facet for which he did it, yeah, it was malice, it was brutal, horrific, and he took that man's life away. But what's even more disgraceful is that the autopsy report came back, like I mentioned earlier, and they're saying in combination. They just don't want to put full and total responsibility. You know, they just want to come up here and say a combined effect, y'all. I really, for quite some time, you know, I've always been fascinated with just listening. And I'm guilty of basically not returning people's response to certain shit they say in a manner for which it would seem intelligent. Sometimes when you hear dumb, you play dumb. You know what I'm saying? You responding or giving a smart or intellectual response to certain people, they don't deserve that. Not everybody deserves that. I know you may look at it like, well, why wouldn't you? Because they're not going to really respect if you make sense of something. So sometimes you play dumb with motherfuckers. You just don't give them those nuggets that they're looking for saying some goofy, stupid, dumbass shit. But they said combined effect of Floyd being restrained. They didn't give the full totality. They say, you know what, this officer knee was on his neck. And before that, the guy was able to walk around. He was handcuffed and he was able to basically operate as a human being, a healthy human being. But if you're going to say he's 46 and he had what? Underlying health conditions, which through wear and tear and your livelihood as a human being, you're going to add that he had hypertensive heart disease, coronary artery disease. You're going to combine that with strangulation. That's coward. That's just fucked up. There's no other way to characterize it. It's fucked up, y'all. That person who did the autopsy, he went in there, and we don't even know exactly if Floyd had those conditions, but we can understand the writing on the wall. We understand what the intentions are. We understand what the cover up is. You're trying to basically prepare an autopsy report for the court, for the trial, and this is why people are burning down business. This is why people are burning down businesses, man. This is why they're going out there and taking action the way they are, and which I'm not condoning it. I'm not sitting up here co-signing it. I'm just saying when you get a man that was strangled or died due to asphyxiation, and then you bring out reports that you know is all about evidence right now. Evidence, evidence, evidence. And you write up a freaking statement for autopsy and say he had underlying health conditions. So you're trying to say this man with a knee on his neck, he partially died because he had coronary heart disease. He had coronary artery disease, hypertensive heart disease. Everything is disease. So you're trying to say this man was close to death anyway. So you're trying to say, well, if he would have been healthy, he would have survived being strangled. When we have mixed martial artists up here subbing people out, and they will explain to you, it's videos out there already of professors, senseis. They are explaining that particular position that Derek Chauvin applied. They're showing ways to counter it. They're showing restraining techniques so that won't have to be used again, so we can have a life. We can have sustained life. They're basically providing teaching moments to say, instead of you putting a knee on somebody's neck, this is how you can control them. And it makes all the sense in the world, and it's legit. But it's a lot of people's not going to talk about that because they don't cover shit like that. These are jujitsu professors speaking, send the message out there to anyone, especially law enforcement. There are many other different ways to restrain the individual without putting your knee on their neck. And then when you have two other able bodies to your right hand side, you trying to tell me that you so weak when a man in handcuffs, you cannot? You can't stop this man from fucking moving? You see a motherfucker with his knee on his neck, you know the guy's moving his legs around. You feel his body trembling. You understand the distress he's in. You felt all that because you're right there next to his body. While coward ass Tao is up there defending his brother-in-law because he's too scared to do anything else due to repercussions or backlash from the department. So this guy was just sitting up there ignoring the fact that he has three of his colleagues over there on one man who is restrained, and the man is pleading for his life over and over again, time and time. I didn't jump on here and start talking about it and then, saying, well, I'm just going to point the finger at everybody, outside the black race. And if you look at the media, the mainstream media, they have their role in this too. Like they keep on placing pictures out there of looters being black just to keep the agenda going, just to keep the association. But it's all freaking looters out there of different race and ethnicities and genders. You have people walking through the store with baskets, y'all, carts, shopping carts, picking up shit, looting, no mask on, no nothing. Because they have a lot of motherfuckers in there doing the same thing. They're not caring about repercussions. They're walking around with a shopping cart. It's a free-for-all. I always wanted to get this shit right here. This is opportune time. Cool. They got any more freaking fish over there? Man, what are steaks at? Is there any more left? Somebody probably say, man, you better hurry up. And ain't that many steaks left back there. They're up there looting that motherfucker with a shopping cart. And then probably pushing the shopping cart to wherever they have their vehicle. It just doesn't make any sense. Point blank, period. There's no need for me to talk about it. But do not believe all the pictures that you see out there of just blacks out here looting. That's deceptive. It's false. And they're just basically trying to give you a visual sense of who's out here doing the damage. When we see on TV, it's multiple ethnicities, multiple throwing rocks at law enforcement vehicles and all that. It's multiple. From what I understand, I read there's a lady that's being charged with attempted murder, four attempted murder charges for protesting for whatever she was probably trying to do. She was probably throwing rocks, or I'm not sure. I didn't read the entire article. You know what I'm saying? And then you have, some of my people is putting, Black Lives Matter, but not the community. And once again, you cannot associate Black Lives Matter with what's going on in the community when you have multiple ethnicities and race here looting. You can't. What does it have to do with Black Lives Matter? What does it have to do with anything? I mean, you got people talking about all lives matter. Don't get offended because somebody say all lives matter. I think that's the most dumbest shit ever. Like that's a person's opinion just because they don't say Black Lives Matter. They don't freaking sit up here and underscore one specific If we want to be clear, you can't be mad at somebody that's going to jump on social media right now and say all lives matter. But the one life that we are talking about, the one life we're talking about is George Floyd, who lost his life along with Ahmaud Arbery. He hasn't went anywhere. He was killed brutally too. I mean, you have to take both of them being killed. They was both substantially devastating and horrific endings to their life. Shotgun blast to the gut. That's brutal, y'all. That man, for the time he was remaining, his gut probably felt like it was on fire. He took a shotgun blast to the gut. George Floyd was on his face on the pavement, asphyxiated under a knee where a guy had his hand on his pocket and potentially was pressing down on his leg to provide that subtle shift of pressure and pressure. He wanted George Floyd to suffer. He wanted him to shimmer, his body to start shaking. He wanted him to beg for his life because he felt that he was protected. In my opinion, the look he had on his face with the camera rolling, this dude didn't fucking care. Why am I gonna sit up here and call this motherfucker over and over again a name? You know he's a coward. This motherfucker's the low scum of the earth, man. And he might get a sentence light enough for him to get back out before he even freaking old and decrepit. This man might not even goddamn face any time because you have coroners out here putting out reports talking about a combined. He had coronary artery disease and hypertensive heart disease. And I know I keep repeating it, but goddamn it, the C word, combined effect of restraint by the police with underlying health conditions. Now that to me is doing what? You're trying to reduce the liability from him blatantly assassinating, killing, murdering. You're trying to basically limit the percentage of liability that this man has, in which we all saw with the camera. You're trying to say, well, the total time he had his leg on his neck was 9 minutes. But I'm just saying, you're asking me, Your Honor, I'm telling you, I know he had his knee on his neck, and he only weighs about 155 to 60 pounds. So take the balance perspective. He didn't have his full weight on the neck of George Floyd. He didn't have his whole weight. There's no way for him to have his total weight unless he stands up and put both feet or put that one foot on his neck and lift the other foot off the ground and have his total body weight. So therefore, I'm looking at it in this perspective. All right. 9 minutes was the total time it took for him, to be carted off or whatever by EMT. If his arteries and his heart would have been absolutely 100% healthy, like a 23, 25-year-old guy, he could have just as well held out just a little bit longer with his consciousness. You know what I'm saying? If he didn't have those other intoxicants in his system, whatever those intoxicants was, he could have lasted 11 minutes. He could have lasted, his conscience could have been evident a little bit longer if he didn't have the artery disease and heart disease. And now check this out. You listen to language, right? Why did they primarily focus on heart and artery? Because why? He lost consciousness, right? So basically they're trying to find a way to vilipend the fact that the knee was absolutely 100% the residing factor that killed him. So what happens when you lose conscious? They go to the heart, and they're trying to say the man's heart wasn't strong enough to survive. They're not looking at what he was doing with his knee, rolling his knee, and everything else. They're just basically including in the autopsy report that he had coronary artery disease, everything that has to do with his heart, his breathing, his oxygen, anything to reduce blatant homicide, first degree, negligent homicide. That's all I'm saying, man. That's all I'm saying. You don't have to, you don't have to believe all of it, and what I'm telling you. But why they didn't put the kidney shit in there? Why they didn't put anything about the kidneys? Why they didn't put anything about his lungs? You know what I'm saying? Was his lungs in perfect health? You know what I'm saying? How did his lungs look? How did his brain look? I'm saying all the other collective organs in his body that attributes to him functioning every day as a grown ass man at 46 years old. Like, where's that at? But the autopsy is basically pinning heart disease, artery disease, which is bullshit, man. It's blatant bullshit. But anyway, people, man, it's unfortunate. Real talk, it's unfortunate. M. Greg, I didn't see you jump in there, man. Sharif said, let me see if that's the last one. Fear mongers the mainstream media. And if people know about the Twin Cities, they're more angry white people like Eminem and Midwest than the whole country. M. Greg said, let's not forget about Louisville, Kentucky, with the police going into a resident and shooting a woman. Yeah. I forgot her name, but they were basically looking for somebody else. They went to the wrong resident. And thanks for reminding me of that. If you can drop her name in here, man, I forgot about her name. I forgot her name, but I did mention her earlier in this cast that I believe they were serving a warrant to the wrong resident, and she was an EMT. She actually had a good job. Of course, we got to put that in there because the first thing they try to do when you die at the hands of somebody, they try to go up here and dig up everything that they can on you. Did you commit adultery? Were you at the strip club? Were you a drinker? Can you get any friends to sit up here and give some background on you? You know what I'm saying? Did you get caught shoplifting when you were 6 years old? Anything to defame your character. You know what I'm saying? Sharif said, yeah, George Zimmerman. Have we forgot? Yep. George Zimmerman. I mentioned that on my first live I did on George Floyd. I did mention George Zimmerman and Trayvon Martin in that whole particular scenario. And even that, mentioning that is that Trayvon Martin was accused of beating George Zimmerman's head into the pavement. But what they didn't want to mention is the stalking and pursuit that George Zimmerman did of Trayvon Martin, following him to the point where Trayvon Martin felt some type of way, his life being in danger, and he fought. And of course, once again, this individual who was happy to try to be a security guard but couldn't be a law enforcement officer drew his weapon and he killed him. But yet he had to make sure that he provoked Trayvon Martin first to engage him with physical violence so he can have a reason to take his life. Sharif say MMA fighters tap out in seconds once the neck is the central point. Yeah, it's the way they squeeze, cut off the circulation that allows their opposition or whoever is being subbed or restrained to lose consciousness. That is a fact. Oh my God, are you serious? Yeah. Oh, Brianna. Yeah. Her name is Brianna. And she had a solid job. She was a good individual, a good human being. She had a lot going for her life. but they shot her, man. So that's pending. That lawsuit is pending. Ahmaud Arbery's lawsuit is pending, and now we had George Floyd lawsuit is pending. Okay, yeah, I mentioned lawsuits because civilly we cannot forget that no type of reimbursement will bring back a life, but people should be compensated for the negligence of those who go out here and blatantly take the life of an individual and they feel that they have the privilege to do so and get away with it. They should be compensated and they should be able to do what the hell they want to do with the money for it, period. You know what I'm saying? Along with justice. It's hard to say we're gonna throw three, we're gonna hit 3 home runs on this. It's hard to say that, even with the McMichaels. It's hard to say that you tie all these in together. It's always a provocation out there. Well, this happened first. That's why they responded. Ahmaud Arbery was seen this way, and they thought he was in there stealing or committed a crime. Doesn't that fall under the statute of Georgia law? He committed a crime. It was been told that he committed a crime. So what they was doing, they was just protecting the community. No, you was overstepping your bounds, and you already had prior familiarity with Aubrey. You know who he was, and for the videos that was out there, he seemed like a guy that didn't take no shit from people. He wasn't afraid to stand up for himself, and they made sure that this time around they approached him with brute force, with lethal intentions, and that's exactly what they did. Shotgun blast to the gut. No way he was going to survive that. In that state, I was informed they have no knock warrants, and it was the wrong house. It's a lot of states there, Sharif, that have no knock. They call them NKWs. It's a lot of states to get NKWs, and of course, yeah, you still have to use procedure. You just can't go in there with an NKW, kick down the door, and then start blasting and squeezing off. You got kids in there, you got everybody, you got shadows. You know what I'm saying? People come out the shadows, they hear the door knocked in, they come out the shadow real fast, like somebody's breaking in, and you have some people that's really anxious or scared, and they end up firing off around and shooting somebody that they thought was who they was looking for, and it wasn't. It was the wrong person. So they fire off and shoot the wrong person. Now they looking at each other like they thinking of recovery now. When they shoot somebody and it's the wrong person, now they thinking of recovery. How do we escape it? They looked like the person, or she walked up, she came out of the shadows with her phone in her hand. Her phone is black, or she had something that was long and sharp. We thought it was a knife. Anything possible, bruh. Just like the artery disease and the heart disease, anything to correlate, anything to basically associate, the release of them doing something with malice. They want to place, a huge portion of the blame on the victim. It's victimizing. Real talk. It's victimizing. But yeah, man, them NKWs, man, there are a lot of places. They have NKWs. If it's according to the individual and who they're looking for, yeah, they can have an NKW. And that's not the first time they basically kicked down the door and shot the wrong person or injured the wrong person. It's not the first time. It's a lot of times that we don't hear about individuals that are being injured with an NKW. But they have to work that out, man. It's just unfortunate she lost her life. You know what I'm saying? It's unfortunate that all these individuals, for Eric Garner, being as big as he was, and for them to basically be mad about him selling cigarettes individually out of pack and consider that to be loitering. And once again, a non-violent offense. You know what I'm saying? Non-violent. And still, this dude jumps behind him, puts him in a chokehold, and don't even know when to let up. No one is a leader in the group to say, hey, okay, we got him. He's on the ground. Let's start working the restraining, put some bracelets on him. Once he has the handcuffs, now let's get him to his feet. It's a non-violent freaking um charge that they was going to get him on. But he lost his life, man. And when you lose your life in that particular situation and certain individuals get off, it's just because, oh, he was non-compliant. He was huge. He was threatening. He moved the wrong way. Something was in his pocket, and somehow, some way, his body shifted. We thought he was going for his pocket, and we thought it could have been a weapon, but it wasn't a weapon. But at the time, we thought it was. So therefore, we had to use action. So let me ask you this question: um, what what did you have on you at the time? Did you have a taser? Did you have a baton and your service weapon? What did you have? Oh, we had all of that you just mentioned. And we had a pocket knife. I had a pocket knife too. I bought from Walmart. Yeah. So why didn't you use the all of the non-lethal weapons that you had on your person if you felt that he was a danger? Did you see how big that guy was? Man, I was in fear for my life. I was in fear for my life. I'm being absolutely honest. That guy was huge. But from the video, it was like 6 of you all on him though. But still, come on now. You know how those guys can get. No, I don't know. Explain. I'm just saying. Unbelievably strong. Unbelievable. But what y'all was stopping him for was cigarettes, loitering. I know, but in that part of the neighborhood, it might have been loitering, but those guys are known to be holding, packing. They're known to have weapons on them. So that's the heightened awareness that we take once we in there. But he was selling individual cigs though. You know, the story goes on and on and on, man. They have non-lethal, and some of these guys are not safe with using non-lethal, so they want to use lethal just so they can get the job done and don't even have any, remorse. They don't have any sensitivity for life, bro. They just go up there and squeeze off and let the bullet do the rest. Always remember this, those of you that's tuned in. Bullets may not have a name, but their targets do. Remember, I said it. I'm not the first to say it. Bullets don't have a name, but targets do. Targets have a name. Understand that. Should all let y'all know that. But I think I've talked enough. It's been over 2 hours about George Floyd. This won't be the last time I speak of him. Matter of fact, let me go out here before I get off. Let me see if there's anything else that I need to talk about with George Floyd. Keep his name in the light. And once again, be careful about what you see in the media, acting like all black people out here looting. That's not true. That's just what they want you to think. But no, don't do that. And like I mentioned, it's third-degree murder. He's out. His bond is 500,000. Let me see. And if y'all didn't hear, I forgot to tell you, along with another meeting with Stephen Jackson, who said he knew George Floyd. That was his brother. It was his twin. They also had a press conference and a presser. And it was Stephen Jackson, Jamie Foxx, Trey the Truth, Bun B, and they had a news conference. And yes, you know what? You know what? This is gonna be the last one I put up here because I think y'all need to hear it. Matter of fact, I know y'all need to hear it. Those of you that still tuned in and want to stay tuned in for sure. I think is very conducive to the talking point. And then I would end it with this because the sister that got on here initially, she said she had a deep message. Let me let you hear. You know, I like Bun B, former, UGK, and Steven Jackson, Jamie Foxx in the building. So let me bring this up right quick, people, and let you check it out. Go over here. And this is a good one too. It has a lot of voices, Here we go.
Fannie Lou Hamer once said, "We are sick and tired of being sick and tired." And I stand here today exhausted. Black Minnesota, we're done dying. And white Minnesota, you are done hiding. This has been a white Wakanda for far too long, where black bodies drop like flies and nobody does anything. I want to commend Chief Arredondo for taking the right steps and immediately firing those officers. We want to be very clear that we stand with the first African American chief. Now, Mike Freeman, where you at? Because we saw where you were at with Justine DeMond when it was a white woman in South Minneapolis. We saw where you were and how eager you were to charge and prosecute a black Somali Muslim man. Now we want that same justice. We are here reclaiming our time and reclaiming our humanity. Enough is enough. We want all 4 of the officers arrested and charged and eventually convicted. Those 4 officers stood, kneeled, and killed George Floyd. All humanity should be outraged. I also want to tell you all, what you're witnessing in Minnesota is something that's been a long time coming. I can't tell you how many governors I've sat down with, how many mayors we sat down with, and we've warned them that if you keep murdering black people, the city will burn. We have stopped the city from burning numerous times, and we are not responsible for it burning now. Mike Freeman is holding up progress. Poverty and oppression is holding up progress. This is not simply looting, this is an uprising of the oppressed people. And we also need to call out that there are many disruptors in the midst.
That's right. Come on,
media, you need to cover the undercover cops who have been breaking these windows and breaking into businesses. We have images of buildings that have been burnt on fire with specific triangles cut out. These kids are not equipped to do those type of things. So stop painting them out to be monsters. This is your moment where you're trying to create super predators again. We see what you're doing. You're calling in the National Guard. And I got a word to President Trump, and I want to make sure y'all get this word to him. I think that it's crazy that we're in the middle of a global pandemic, COVID-19, and you haven't sent a mass or any resources to the black people in Minnesota. But you were quick to send your troops to kill us? We already been saying it's open season all over the nation, and you just opened it up even more. You were crying, liberate Minnesota when it came to economics, property, and money. When are you going to tell them to liberate black people in America? Anyone who believes in humanity, we are asking for you to stand up. This is not just a Black people issue. This is a human rights issue. And we are pleading with you. Young people, we are standing with you. We want you to know that there's multiple ways to get your point across, and we are here to help you. You have a village that will help you strategize. I know that you are operating out of pain, and since no one else will talk to you, they just keep talking at you and keep referring to you. But I haven't seen one of them on the ground trying to de-escalate any situation. I've been getting tear gas with you, and I haven't thrown in your rock yet. At some point, it's called defense. And so again, I will say, Black Minnesota is done dying. And white Minnesota, you are done hiding. Your white Wakanda has been discovered. And it's time for Black people, humanity to be recognized.
This is breaking news from friends and supporters, including Wesley Resman, the president of the NAACP in Minneapolis, speaking at a news conference right now.
I'm here because they're not the demeanor character of George Floyd. My friend. A lot of times when police do things that they know that's wrong, the first thing they try to do is cover it up and bring up your background to make it seem like the bullshit that they did was worth it. When was murder ever worth it? Never. It's a Black man. It's a fool. You can't tell me when that man had his knee on my brother's neck, taking his life away, with his hand in his pocket, that smirk on his face didn't say I'm protected. Imagine this. A man growing up in an area where the odds are already against him, trying to figure it out. You know, they say experience is the best teacher. So you're gonna make mistakes. Everybody gonna make mistakes. You make some bad decisions. It happens. We all make bad decisions, right? We make bad decisions. Even being successful, I've made bad decisions, right? You get to a point where you make a bad decision and you end up suffering for it, going through time. Sit down, okay? You gotta go through them. They say you gotta rehabilitate yourself. You rehabilitate yourself. You have relationships with people where you're able to get away and try to better your life, right? Because you've been in the system. Oh, they tell you the only way you can get out is if you rehabilitate yourself. And when you rehabilitate yourself, you get out and you're still treated like a criminal. Right? So stay with me now. Picture that. You get an opportunity to move away from the environment that brought you down. You get away, you be successful, you get a job, the life starts turning in the right direction. You stumble a little bit again. It's not worth your life, though.
Right, that's it.
You stumble a little bit again, and you end up on the ground with a knee in your neck, screaming your mama's name, screaming your kid's name, going to the bathroom on yourself. Imagine if he was white. Ponder that for a minute. Imagine if he was white. So my white brothers, I love you. Every race here, I love you. But it comes to a point now where you love me and you not standing on the side of me, and your love don't mean shit.
Say one more again.
I'm at the point now where I'm tired of being a big person. I'm tired of walking around and seeing white kids and feeling like me being having a big heart and just giving love to every race, and we not getting it in return. I'm here because they're not the demeanor character of George Floyd, my team. A lot of times when police do things that they know that's wrong, the first thing they try to do is cover it up and bring up your background to make it seem like the bullshit that they did was worth it. When was murder ever worth it? Never. But if it's a black man, it's approved. You can't tell me when that man had his knee on my brother's neck, taking his life away with his hand in his pocket, that smirk on his face didn't say I'm protected.
That's right. That's
We're not gonna do that. We gonna use our platform. I'm gonna use everything I have to get a conviction, to get all these motherfuckers in jail. Excuse my French, I'm angry. But I'm a proud black man. I mean that from the bottom of my soul. And I can say that and tell everybody that I still love you. But I'm at a point now, I don't need your love. I honestly don't need it. And want to tell you why I don't need it? Because the love I need has always been here. It's always been here. We just haven't came together yet. But I'm starting to feel it. I'm starting to feel it. I'm starting to feel it. And I thank God for everybody here. But we came for justice. We came for convictions. I definitely came because this city is definitely going to take care of my brother's kids. He has 2 beautiful daughters that he can't provide for. 2 nights ago, I'm on the phone with Roxy.
I don't know why that video was edited pretty heavy, but that's not the entire video, man. I don't know why it was edited so heavy like that. But a good portion that I wanted you all to listen to was they didn't let it be shown. Let me see. Y'all hold tight for a second. See if I can bring this up.
They're not going to demean the character of George Floyd, my twin. A lot of times when police do things that they know that's wrong, the first thing they try to do is cover it up and bring up your background to make it seem like the book that they did was worthy. When was murder ever worthy? Yeah. But it was a black man. It's approved. You can't tell me when that man had his knee on my brother's neck, taking his life away with his hand in his pocket, that smirk on his face didn't say I'm protected.
That's right. That's what it said.
You can't tell me that he didn't feel that it was his duty to murder my brother and that he was fine with it and he knew he was gonna get away with it. You can't tell me that wasn't a look in his face. We've seen it so many times, and we see it right in our face and we don't get no justice. What happened to common sense? What happened to just opening your eyes? Your eyes don't work now? Videos, what is videos for? Videos don't work now, they don't mean nothing? Only when you black. My brother was someone who died trying to be a protector and a provider for everybody. But one thing a lot of y'all don't know, that's down to every black man.
That's right.
Because where we come from, we have to learn how to protect and provide. How not? The ones that don't know how to protect and provide, the ones that ain't proud to be black, are the ones that get knocked off early. You have to be strong where we come from in order to survive, in order to be successful. It's 10 times harder. And I tell people all the time, the difference between me and my brother Floyd is I had opportunity. So many of my brothers are so talented and sitting in the ghettos and the hoods right now because they don't have opportunity. And y'all wonder why we ain't. We're not just dying. It hasn't been fair to us.
Yeah.
There is no quick fix to this, but I think what you were seeing athletes doing.
Well, from the one I had earlier, when I viewed it on my phone, it was unedited. But I guess, they're cutting these videos short. That's the media, man. You seeing it for yourself. They're cutting his speech off. It's much longer speech than that, man. Unedited. You know what I'm saying? Especially with the one with the female who was there first. I mean, she gave a powerful speech. I kind of forgot where I seen it at though. Let me try another outlet right quick. Y'all bear with me, man. Just hold on for a second. It's Saturday too, so it's still early during the day, enough for you all to get ready for church tomorrow. If y'all having a remote. In the meanwhile, while I'm looking at this, I'm not sure if y'all seen the photo that's up there of supposedly Derek Chauvin, but it doesn't look anything like the dude, unless it's a younger photo of him or even that. It doesn't look like him. And it's protection, man. Like, there's no way you're going to tell me that photo right there, even when he didn't have a hat on or anything, that's the same dude that had his knee over there. No, there's no way somebody convinced me of that shit, man. Let me see. I'm seeing this video that's out that George Floyd and Derek Chauvin were co-workers at the same nightclub. What? They say, according to reports, George Floyd via Vlad TV and former officer Derek Chauvin, who knelt on his neck and killed him, were actually co-workers in the past. Santa Maria Maya Santa Maria, former owners of El Nueve Rodeo Club, or says Floyd and Chauvin both worked security at the club until the end of last year. Santa Maria told reporters Chauvin was out off-duty police for almost entirely of the 17 years that we were open. They were working together at the same time. It's just that Chauvin worked outside and the security guards was inside. While the two worked at the club during the same time, Santa Maria didn't go as far as to say they knew one another. Don't you dare say that shit. Santa Maria says she didn't recognize the men in the now viral video were former security guards of hers. My friend sent me the video and said, "There's your guy who used to work for you." And I said, "It's not him." And then they said the close up. And then that's when I said, "Oh my God, that's him." He said, "I didn't recognize George as one of our security guards because he looked really different lying there like that." I bet he did. But that's another tidbit of information. For those of you that's tuned in, that's via Vlad TV. And they're lighting a whole lot of stuff on fires, man. Paycheck to paycheck, living paycheck to paycheck. Of course, bail out to bail out. And I'm looking at one of these reports. The protests reportedly cleared out a downtown Atlanta boutique of its merchandise. Damn. Let me check one more. Let me see what this is about right here. Let me see if this is the article. I mean, this is the video. If it shows everything, this might be the video via YouTube, cited from YouTube. Hold on for a second. Or I'm trying to see if they just gonna show when Jamie Foxx talked. Are they gonna show the whole thing? I don't know what's going on with this. It seems like it's just a compilation of the protests that's going on. That's not what I want. I want a specific video of Jamie Foxx, Steven Jackson, Bun B, and all of them talking. But most of these videos I tried to give to you, they all been edited and cut, clipped. Okay. I just have to let it slide, I guess, because I can't seem to find the full video. Hold with me. If this ain't it, then we out. You know what I'm saying? Man, they marching on the highway. Jesus. Okay, that's a good group of people right there. Shoot. Let me see. This is a compilation. That's a lot of people at this protest right here. This is not what I want, though. Not what I want. It's just random civilians talking. I don't know why people putting up No, this is just totally misleading. You know what I'm saying? They want to act like the title is Jamie Foxx, Stephen Jackson speaks out, but they have everybody but them. Just totally misleading. I'm gonna let this slide because I'm gonna let it slide. Well, I couldn't find a video of what I was looking for. I hate giving up on it because it was a pretty cool video. I ain't gonna lie. Philly protest. No, that's it, people. I'm not gonna keep your time any longer. I can't find the video that I want. I was able to see it on my phone earlier, but not at this time. So what I want to say is, in closing, thank you all for tuning in. Yes, a lot of protesting going on across the country, and people doing it in their own way. Some a little bit more aggressive than others. I'm still unsure as to why certain cities that's not attached, even remotely close to that, why they're protesting and rioting and looting. I think some of these individuals just getting together in groups and they want to go out here for a cause and think they're not going to be arrested. That's not the logical, nor is that the proper way to go out here and protest, period. Those of you that might be tuned in. But anyway, I appreciate everyone for stopping through. Stay tuned for some interviews that I have coming up. I want to give a special shout out to those individuals who stopped in and dropped their input. Thank you for your input. And be sure to turn up and tune in to World Combat Sports Media. Salute and be safe out there.